Guys, if you want to fall back in love with yourself, if you want to be authentically the real you that lost somehow, and if you want to get out of the chaos, do a feminine fast. Hold your own storm. Her weather system is her weather system. Your weather system is yours. Keep them separate. You don't need to share all of that.
I always tell men all the time, it's like, they have their checklist of what they want, like whatever, A through Z. And then I'll go back to them like, okay, so that woman, the quote unquote perfect woman, walks in and has all those boxes checked. Then the question you got to ask yourself is like, are you those same things? And is she going to want to be with you?
They feel our nervous system's coming a mile away. They know what is going on with us. We cannot hide this stuff. It's not your fault what happened to you, early child, whatever, but it is our responsibility to process. That's the thing, guys. Like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that sucks out there you can't control.
Welcome to the Burnout Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Nugent. I'm excited for today. I just connected with James Yager.
Yeah.
And I love that you always use your middle name, as I've noticed that on social, right?
Thanks, yeah.
And, you and I connected here just, we met each other a few months ago and then just back and forth on social and got together for lunch. And we had one of those moments where we just kind of were in flow. We see things the same way, see life the same way. We're both in the men's space and in coaching and helping men elevate and uplift their lives. And I loved your energy. And so right on the spot, I'm like, brother, we got to do a podcast.
Wow, this is great. No, it's been really nice meeting you and getting to know you the other day. That was a lot of fun. Again, just kept running into each other, like the universe kind of brings up that those people you got to connect with into our lives. So yeah, I'm really honored. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I appreciate it. And the last podcast that I did was, which you actually commented, which kind of spearheaded us getting together, was talking about leaky sexual energy.
Right.
And I love how you said, well, was really well said. And it's an interesting topic because you and I talked about this personally. I mean, I believe everybody in one form or another has had in the past, right? An element of leaky sexual energy. Yeah. And the common thing is like, oh, it's porn, it's affairs. I mean, the obvious ones, but there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
And understanding that it's really our life force energy. And I've been geeking out on this as far as like, okay, what does it actually mean to really truly retain that, and to channel that energy, Yeah. Again, that's kind of where we started off. And I mean, from your perspective, what does that look like for you, like with men, like specifically, right? As far as channeling and really honing in on that sexual energy.
Oh, that's a great question to kick off with. Like it's such an important one. I think high level, I'll start with when I'm in circle with men or on one-on-one or in the group stuff. Generally we're having, kind of 60-70% of the men are in like, they're in divorce or they're already divorced or they're in separation. And so there's a lot of charge around this stuff. And many of the men are been trying to date and there's shits all over the place. They're kind of a mess. They're in chaos, as I call it, the man in chaos in some form or another, but they're trying to date. They want to get laid, all of that stuff. And one of the things is like, I start to question them, like, what are they actually taking care of themselves? And are they actually just putting out all this energy all over the place? And which causes like them being out of integrity with themselves. And so I bring it back to integrity. I'm going to connect the dots here in a second, but I say, hey guys, I share their story about my feminine fast. It's like taking time to just be with you, not going and chasing women, not going and dating, not just going and getting laid, going out, but like literally stopping all that, not even flirting with feminine, being so much more tuned into your internal validation than external validation. So I flipped the script on them, and a lot of them are like, yeah, no.
What led you to that? Because I share this with you. I would say, I love that you said that, a feminine fast. Like I'm 6 months into this right now, personally. Yeah. And it's like, it's a different level of like commitment, discipline, but but it's been such a wild experience of just even pursuing my purpose and what I'm working on and being able to channel that energy and not necessarily needing that validation.
Right.
Because again, especially coming out of divorce, maybe you experienced this too. Like dating for me was very therapeutic, extremely. Like my self-worth at the time was horrible and started dating all these women. I felt seen, having sex. I mean, it was just like all these beautiful, incredible things. And so it was really there was this confidence that was being built along the way. And so I think there's definitely a place for that, but as I transition and then get into a relationship, then breaking up and then dating again, right? The pursuit starts to lose I don't know if it's its edge, but there's an emptiness to it.
Yeah. So I'll start over with my story of why I did that. My why was that same thing. Coming off of divorce out of 2024 into 2025 when the papers actually got finalized. It was October 24. It was filed. Then coming out, it was like, I don't know, February. Let's say it went through. And there's an energetic thing about it going through, right? Not just being impending. But I was out dating. I was out understanding the new world in that way. And I would be, okay, great. I really like this woman or this, and things would happen. And it just didn't have the flow. It felt forcing. I was like forcing it, right? Power versus force. I was not in power. It was forcing stuff. So I pulled back. I said, okay, I'm going to reassess my New Year's resolution, and I'm going to reset. You know what? I'm going to go inward, and I'm going to hit reset button in every area of my life. And one of those is I just had this hit that I need to go on a feminine fast. And I needed to clear that energy, not only from my ex, but also from any other people that I had not cleared it out. So I decided to, here's the date I'm starting. I'm going to go about 6-ish months. But I was going to feel into it. But I was going to say, okay, what are my rules? What are my non-negotiables with myself around this? And why am I doing this? And so the biggest part was that I thought it was about, okay, separating myself from the energy and really like just being with me to feel my feelings. But what I started to realize is like, it was about me falling back in love with myself. It was me literally falling in love. Because what happens when we're with somebody for so long? I was with someone for 10 years, married for 6. Your neurology, right? Your neurology starts to wire together. Our own neurology wires together. Neurons that fire together, wire together. When you're thinking with someone, when you're with somebody all the time, you pick up their stuff, they pick up your stuff. You get in these habits and stuff gets interwoven. And it's beautiful. And when you're undoing that, you literally like realize there are parts of me that I lost that I gave to that other person. And that can be messy. And it's not her fault. It's not about blame. It's just simply what is. So as I was unweaving that, I started to realize, wow, I'm doing things like that she wanted me to do or how she wanted to do it. I'm not even being me. It was a realization that I wasn't even being fucking authentic. I wasn't being who I am. So that's what this started to unweave for me as I could talk to women, I would meet them, but like no getting phone numbers, no flirting, no coming have a cuddle. Like I was like, I am not available for any of that, but I could have a conversation in a group of women kind of thing. And so as that journey continued, I started leaning in and loving it. And although it was kind of lonely sometimes, it was hard when you want to have sex, that leaky energy starts to show you where you are leaking. Yep. You literally can start seeing the leaks, like where the pipes are dripping. You can see it. Oh, wow, I was doing that. Wow, that part of me, that does not define who I am. So you start to see this and realize, okay, what does this mean? So as I went on that journey, I'll kind of pause there so you can jump in. But like these learnings started to come the more that I was just with myself and okay with being with me in stillness, in silence, being okay waking up in the morning, not having somebody to cuddle with, not having somebody to go take care of, just me.
Yeah, it's many times, especially with dating or women, whether in a relationship or not, it's the way I would articulate is that, what my words of what you just described is you went on to this fast, you recognized, or maybe even prior to that there were some voids that you were using her or exterior things, if you will. Distractions.
Yep.
And again, I don't know any guy, there's a, call it your confidence, your ego, whatever, right? Everybody wants a good looking woman, and a woman that loves them, wants to be seen, wants physical intimacy. Yeah. But when you can get to a space where it's like, look, I love that and I appreciate it, but I don't need it.
Yep.
It's a completely different switch. And I'm thinking back in what you just said is like, hey, when you present this idea of what you went through into these men, right? To tell that to a man that's just coming out of a divorce that most likely has been in a loveless marriage. Mm-hmm. There's all these different things. They go, hey, by the way, now you got to go on this fast. They're like, oh, hell no, we're not doing that, yeah. Right? To even think about doing that.
Yeah. There were some guys who were like, light bulb, like, tell me more. What does that even mean? And the other ones are like, were a fuck no. But then they were like, I obviously didn't go into the heart. When you're selling it, you don't go tell them the despair and all that part. It's like, guys, if you want to fall back in love with yourself, if you want to be authentically the real you that is in there but is lost somehow, and if you want to get out of the chaos, do a feminine fast. Especially if you're coming off of relationship stuff and you haven't cleansed that out. Like that is a big piece of our lives, relationships, huge piece. So generally I've had some blowback in the beginning, but most of the guys are like, yeah, I'm willing to do it. And we'll do it together. Sometimes we'll do these challenges where we do it together.
When you have support, it makes it a lot much easier. Right?
Yeah, huge. That's what we do in the Noble Kings is like we create these challenges together. But that I don't want to go too far ahead. The whole process, as you get a few months in, now you can do 90 days, you can do 2 months, you can do 6 months, you can do a year, whatever you feel is right for you. For me, it was around the 6 months. And I wanted it to be done before I went to Burning Man. Because last time I had been to Burning Man was when I was with my ex. It was a beautiful experience, but I wanted to have a very different experience and also didn't want to go to where there's some of the most beautiful women in the world and also just be like, no, I'm on a feminine fast and that would have been a lot harder.
Yeah.
So I was like, I've had my fill. And also by them, I was like, I was so good. Guys, when you do this, if you choose to do this, I want to tell you, like, there's a level of like inner, oh my God, it's like love, glow, a lighthouse, a fire, a warrior that starts to wake up to yourself, and you feel more like yourself than you have in years, maybe even your whole life, because it allows you to see the stuff if you're willing to sit in it. Now, I work on myself. I read books. I have coaches. I'm in that world, right? So I do work on myself. But we've got to have support, at least of like a men's group once a month kind of thing, like a place where you can talk and process this stuff. You don't want to just be in it and just hold on to it. It's about letting it go. So doing practices like breathwork, like meditation, like journaling, like getting out and talking about this stuff and getting it out of your system has got to happen. It's got to shed loose. You got to let go. You can't hold this stuff, because once you see it, you don't want to. It's almost like disgusting. You're like, I got to get this out.
Yeah, and the fire that's inside, the first word that came to mind is like it's a reset, but really what it is a recalibration. Like you're recalibrating. And the other thing too is like when it comes to energy's magnetizing, right? And I also believe, like, again, as we're talking on men specifically, like if you have leaky energy somewhere, like energetically, you're going to attract that into your world as well.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So, and the feminine's going to feel that and see that
100%. And so, understanding that it's like, I always tell men all the time, it's like, they have their checklist of what they want. Like I want, whatever, A through Z. And then I'll go back to them like, okay, so that woman, the quote unquote perfect woman, walks in and has all those boxes checked. Then the question you got to ask yourself is like, are you those same things? And is she going to want to be with you? Because I believe manifestation, in order to really truly manifest or call something in life, you actually have to be what you want to attract. Otherwise, like, we're just fooling ourselves. It's a mask.
Yeah.
And what I found in my own journey, in experimenting, truly it's been like this experimentation, right? I love the word you use. I'll make sure you get credit for it, the feminine fast, but I call it just channeling sexual energy. And it's been such a wild experience. Like to not even to get into a headspace, like, those moments where you just want to check out, you just want to release, or just, self-pleasure, whatever. It's like, nope, I'm going to ride this thing out.
Yeah.
Right. And to be able to sit in the uncomfortableness. And what I've found is like, if I just allow myself to sit in it, rather than, for me, most of my life it was food. And then, it was just trying to find something to fill whatever. I don't want to feel this way. But to allow myself just to sit in it, acknowledge it, get curious as to why it's there, the universe moves it in a matter of seconds.
It does.
It's gone like 30 seconds, 60 seconds. And then all of a sudden, but then the sense of euphoria and confidence that I felt, going back to the word you use, which is integrity, I've made a commitment to myself, this is where I'm going to stay. And so the fact that I honored my word builds the confidence that I didn't move through it's just this wild experience of just like really recalibrating my life, taking my life to where I want to go and being what I want to ultimately, where I want to go.
For sure. The one thing I wanted to say about that is that the recalibration and the coming back to integrity, like, integrity is so important to men. When I see men that I'm coaching that are out of momentum, money's not flowing in, they're not meeting people, they just don't feel in flow, it's generally, I've brought it down to they're out of integrity with themselves. And that means a lot of different things. What we do in our men's circle is we check in with three things. Am I in integrity with myself? Am I in integrity with everyone inside of this circle when we're sitting in a circle? And am I in integrity with the world, everyone outside the circle? And and this is where you got to be really honest with yourself. Sometimes it's hard, but it's like, yeah, if there's a no there, those are data points. I'm like, okay. And what does integrity mean? And it's not just, hey, I'm going to meet you here at 5:00 and I'm going to be there. And that's integrity. I say what I'm going to do to other people. More importantly, it's what you say you're going to do for yourself and you don't do.
That's the root of it.
Small, medium, large things. Doesn't matter.
Whether you speak it, whether you tell anybody, it's what you tell yourself.
Or you think it, it's all the stuff inside.
So I have a question for you along this line. Do you feel, because I know a lot of people, in fact, I had a client his number one core value was integrity. I mean, just spoke, it's his company core value. To be honest with you, I have never met somebody that is out of integrity more than him. That says the things I'm going to do, and the follow through is complete dog shit. And I don't even think he's aware of it. And I've reflected it back a couple times. It's like, but then so used to, it's the people pleasing. I'm going to do the things, I'm going to say it. But like, it's wild to watch. And I think many people say, oh yeah, I'm integrous. I'm in integrity, but don't even recognize, can't even see, don't have awareness to where they actually really are.
True.
Have you noticed that with some of the
men?
Yeah,
it's like fog. There's a blinders on, and that's unconscious patterns that are unresolved that are just blocking them from seeing that. They mean well with the conscious mind, but they haven't gone and done the underneath work, right? And that's important that they go do that. But it's also that integrity too is what are those, just to continue to define it, it's like, it's not just what you say you're going to go do and have you done it or not. It's actually those conversations you should have that you haven't done.
Yep.
Speaking your truth, your the stuff you're holding back, that thing you really, really screwed up on that you just haven't taken responsibility for. Any of those kind of things, any and all, it's like, oh yes. So with integrity, to start to assess that, I call it the integrity cleanup list. You just got to sit down and be like, where am I out of integrity with myself and the world? And those small and large things, I say, take 1, 2, 24, 48 hours and start writing those things down. And describe them as best you can. It's really important. And I literally had this guy the other day, usually 80, 90% of people, like after they go do this exercise that I give them, they go, bro, what the heck was that? Once I got like all these down, I had this rush of energy. I felt something different shift. Like, yeah, it's big. It's huge when you start to become really fucking honest with yourself. When you start telling yourself the truth and you start putting those down, it literally is a shift inside that starts to activate. Because when men are in chaos and they think that they are just lost and down and out, there is that ember, the spark that's in there. It doesn't go away. It's just so covered up by the ashes that it needs to be, we got to blow some oxygen on it to kind of light it up again. That's what the integrity cleanup list does.
Well, which is a great exercise you take them through because it starts to bring awareness to things that they're not even aware of.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And I mean, I've had plenty of seasons in my life where I've been out of integrity, in some cases extremely. And I don't want to ever go there again just because of the pain it caused myself. Not, yes, other people, but just even myself, and it's actually one of my core values. And my oldest son, will check me in a heartbeat because I've asked him to. And sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for. There was an evening, this was last year sometime, I told him I was going to clean the kitchen or whatever. He was with his brothers. They came home, and I was so tired. I did the dishes, whatever, but I didn't clean the counter off. So I said, hey, dude, will you mind wiping the counter off? His response, you're out of integrity. I was so pissed. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm like, come on. I was angry. He's like, you're out of integrity. Just matter of fact, right? So I sat with that, went to bed or whatever, and I sat, I'm like, why am I, and I was still upset. And I'm like, oh, he checked my ass. Yep. I told him I was going to do it, and I didn't do it. End of story. That's on me. And I went down. I'm like, dude, thank you. I appreciate that. But it was just so fascinating that it's like, this is something I've been really consciously working on, and something just so small, something minor is the count, right? But the fact is, I want my word to matter. I want to be checked, and it hurt, and it was my resistance to seeing it, but it had nothing to do with him. It had everything to do with me. And when you can just sit in that, it's like, oh, okay, that's on me. Thank you for the lesson, right? I want to get stung. Sure. I'm okay with getting stung, a slight first degree, second degree burn. I'm done with 7 degree full skin graft burns in my life, right? I don't want that anymore. So, and it just kind of helps you keep me more in a line. So I'm grateful for him and other people in my life that if I happen to not fall through on something that I've asked them to help me, like check my ass. Like I want to be that guy.
Yeah, that's what kings can do for each other. When you give that permission or that acknowledgement, say, hey, check me, please. And honestly, good high value women do that for us.
Yeah, 100%. You said a lot of the men you work with, which you and I both have gone through a divorce, right? That affects now the majority of, over 50% of both, Do you see, again, we started off on this kind of the sexual energy. What are some other common themes? You and I could go out and spend hours talking about our own journeys, but like just in general speaking, like these men, where are their heads at? Like what are the biggest things that are weighing them down with that you're working with?
The pressure of having to hold it all together. Some of them have kids. Many of them have kids, especially here in the Utah area. I've noticed that. So like they're just like, dude, I've got to hold all the world. I got to hold the world. I got to hold my woman. I got to hold my kid. Or they're still holding their woman, but they're not together with their woman. They just feel this pressure and this heaviness that they've got to carry the world and that they're doing it alone. That's one of the biggest ones that comes out. Then you got financial. Then it's just the relational. And it's also like they don't feel seen and heard. Really, they don't. They have guy friends. Let them have guy friends and groups they do stuff with, but it's not the most positive, dynamic, uplifting group stuff. It's not stuff that helps them become a better king. It's the drinking, the joking, the getting away from the wife. It's avoidant behavior of what all of them are avoiding stuff that they got going on in their life, but they're not willing to talk about it. So they're feeling lonely.
Yeah. I don't know if the word's epidemic, as you hear a lot of people talk about, but it's a real thing, especially when you're coming out of that, right? It's like, it's not only the relationship, it's the dream. I mean, there's so many layers and layers that you go through it, and especially the kids are involved, and it's fascinating. I love that you said this. It's like feeling seen. Like I've been divorced 8 years now, and there's a couple things that have come up here that I'm working through with my ex-wife right now. We're really good, great friends, but like there's a couple things that have come up, and her perspective of me, our divorce, money, everything I've been through is so jaded. And I'm not just saying that. Like I've been, I talk about all of my shit on this podcast all the time, like openly. Like it's always about me, right? Never about her. I talk about marriage, divorce, all my stuff, right? And it's interesting that it has felt like, as I've been watching this kind of play out, it's almost supported the narrative of like her story. Oh, Adam's this, Adam's that, Adam's this.
Right.
And no joke, literally this morning I was talking with one of my coaches this morning through some of the stuff. He goes, I think what you just want to do is feel seen, And I'm just like, and I haven't connected that with her in years.
Oh.
And I just kind of sit there. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, she doesn't see this in all these different things. And at the end of the day, getting to a place that it's like, you know what? She can have her story. She can have her perspective. And it doesn't take away from who I am as a man. It doesn't take away from my worth. It's like, but just like at the end of the day, it was interesting that he hit a pain point. It's like this, hey, oh my gosh, there's this part. It's like, do we really even realize what I've done and what I've been able to do carrying all this stuff? And yet there hasn't been any acknowledgement of it, and realizing, yeah, there's what's the anger, the frustration I've been feeling underneath that. Because I always say anger is secondary emotion. It's the fact that she doesn't see really what I've done. And the fact that I'm having a reaction to it is really rooted in like it's striking something inside of me.
Right. And what is that? Why do you need that?
Exactly.
What's that? That's the difference between external validation and the internal validation. It's a real thing. And it's easier said than done, but it is like looking at all the research I've been doing, all the stuff for myself, like, okay, this stuff still comes up. It's normal. This is not like just a few people. This is real stuff we got to talk about. But the external validation stuff is a really big turnoff to the feminine.
100%.
Unconsciously. We're not trying to do it, but we also have been programmed by society, programmed as men to be the good boy, the perfect boy, to be in consent, do all these things. Consent is important. I'm just not saying that's not, but it's asking permission, being a gentleman, all this stuff. There's a lot of programming out there for men on how we should show up. And it's very counterintuitive to how the feminine works and how that stuff can come together. So that situation you're talking about with your wife is good because it's bringing up what is the part inside of you that you're not loving and acknowledging around being seen. Where are you not seeing yourself?
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too, because like, as is fascinating, we're just the timing of this, right? I don't believe in coincidences, but and part of it for me too is like, at the end of the day, like I want accountability, integrity. Like I want to be accountable for me. Right? I want to be always, that is another really important thing for me. And I want to take responsibility. I'm the common denominator in every part of my life. I play a role in every part of my life. I don't want to point a finger, and she, again, her perspective, the way she sees life is very different than the way I see mine. But there's a part of me that wants to fix it. There's a part of me that's like, hey, do you not see this? Because I want her to like get out of some of her mindset stuff that she's been working through. And I've had the realization, it's like, it's not me. It's not me. If anyone in my family, it's going to be one of my sons, and so it's just kind of letting that go. And it's been kind of freeing for that. But it was just interesting to talking through that. And I'm going to take that as a question. It's like, what is that inside of me? I think there's still some, it's the lack of recognition of the efforts and everything that I did.
Yeah.
Not only in the marriage, but post, and that I'm not negating or taking away from everything that I did to contribute to the divorce. That is real, but it's not an either or, it's an and.
Sure.
And I haven't received an apology. I have nothing. And yet I'm the one like, and so I haven't been met there.
Okay.
So I think there's some just like. and it's not like I'm crying in my sleep and over this, it's not weighing on me to that degree, but it's like, I'm recognizing like, you know what? Yeah, I haven't been seen for the extreme efforts that I put into to try to take care and do all of the things, given everything that I've been carrying.
Yeah.
You know?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
And why is that important to you to be recognized?
That's a, you know, my worth for most of my life was tied to other people's opinions. Yeah. I mean, there's people pleasing, and then there's levels of it. I mean, I was a 10th degree black belt when it came to people. I mean, I was at the top, right? Yeah. I was good. If we were good, codependent, all the things, like my worth was tied to everybody else.
Yeah.
So over the last several years, post-divorce, and then working through that and getting to a place today that I have separated that more than I ever have in my entire life. But in full transparency, as we're talking through this, right, there's still a little bit of something there, right? Yeah. And it's interesting, when I was going through the pain of losing my company, I was talking to one of my coaches at the time, and I'm like, I wish I didn't give a shit what other people thought. He's like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I'm sick of this. Like, I was a mess. Any stories, people were saying things. And he said something, it didn't really connect at the time, but it connects now. He goes, look, and if you didn't care what anybody thought, you're a raging narcissist. Yeah. He goes, the place you want to get to is a place of like, yes, I care what you think, but not more than what I think about myself.
Yes, exactly. That you are good no matter what. That you've got you, that you love you, that you are solid on your own. You don't need anything from you. It's nice. That's like a nice to have. And that's where I too am working on that as well, as I've recently had some stuff come up for me that was inner child based and showed there's some codependency things I did not realize were there from way back when I was 4.5 years old, after I've done a lot of inner child work too. So it does come up, and it's okay. That's great. There's always more work to do. There's always more layers, and that's always wonderful. But it is that transition for us men, and this is what I really want men to hear, is like, when we're feeling this external validation and we're looking for this being seen and all that, it is looking deeper inside, and the feminine is great at mirroring to us what is it inside of us. And all relationships are like mirrors, right? So it's like, okay, can I fill myself up with love and recognition? And so much of that to where I am so good and so filled up, and where the relationship that I choose to have in my life is a 1 + 1 = 11, not 2. Yep. Right? It's that it's got to expand me and my kingdom so much. But either way, I'm good. In my kingdom, I'm okay. I don't need this stuff. And so when we're looking at these kind of things that's coming up, I appreciate your vulnerability. It is like, okay, you want that from her and you would need that, but then but why at the deeper level? The issue is never really the issue. It's something underneath, some under child or some part that has not been getting that love, is not being seen. And all the shadow work that we do, that deserves to have light shined on it in love as well.
Well, what's interesting too, even digging deeper on this, being even more open, I've also recognized that I have boundaries that I've put in place as it relates to her and I've actually violated some of them in my own boundaries, and I've allowed certain things to happen this is all kind of coming up this week and literally this morning, and even more so as we're talking now, there's been some unconscious self-betrayal in deep underneath it of like, do you not see this? And then I've been allowing certain things or doing certain things that, like, at the end of the day, it comes, I always want to bring it back to me. And it's like, it's the recognition of that behavior that's attached to this. Right. And so, yeah, she's out of town now with my boys on a trip. When we come back, we're gonna have a conversation. Right. Okay. And whatever happens, and that's okay. But I'm grateful for this experience, and I appreciate you asking me this, because it's like, I'm right here on this podcast. I'm working through it as we're talking. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's
no better time than now.
Yeah, I know, right? And again, for our listeners, like, it's okay to talk about this stuff.
It is.
I mean,
I want us to normalize it. Like,
well,
it's
exactly.
Okay.
Like,
and I think there's a difference between like normalizing it so we can talk about it, make it feel safe. And there's of course great containers for this kind of stuff. But I think there's a difference between like processing your emotions raw with somebody, especially the feminine, and then being able to be like, as guys, like, sit and talk about this stuff, because it really is important.
Well, let's go there for a second, because you did an Instagram live the morning of this recording. Yep. and the topic of vulnerability came up. And if you're okay, I'm going to go there for a minute.
Please, let's do it.
You just said something that's really important. It's like for a man just to completely vomit emotions all over the feminine, right? Yeah. It's interesting too, because women want, well, society, masculine, feminine energy, it's right. Hey, vulnerability, right? Vulnerability is is a weakness. You can't do this. You can't do that. It's like, no. And then women say, hey, I want you to share my feelings. And then a man shares the feelings, and then she doesn't know what to do with those feelings. And then it's like, so then the man finally opens up, shares whatever he's feeling. Maybe he dumps on her, right? And then she doesn't know what to do with it. And so then he pulls away because he's like, well, you're not safe to share this.
Right. Yeah, it happens a lot.
And so try to find a fine line as far as what do I share, what do I don't share. And I don't know, I mean, I think it would be really person dependent about, if a feminine woman can actually hold it.
Yep. There's that factor as well. There's a lot of factors in that.
Because there's a lot of, I know one man in particular, good looking dude, very, very successful, whatever. And it's like, he comes off a certain way. And actually I had him as a guest on not this podcast, but my last podcast. It's years ago. And you never would have thought this, but the whole conversation, he was talking about vulnerability. It's like, it was part of his mission as far as what he did. But then when you met women that had dated him, they're like, he is the most hyper feminized man I've ever been. I can't even stand it. Right. So it was interesting, like, hey, this is what I believe, this is what I'm working on. But then when you talk to women that had been around him, they were turned off by it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Big time. So I think it's situational. And so if we take it to like, hey, when you're in a confrontation or an argument or a communication with a feminine, there is like one of my big rules. What I've learned is to not, which I did do this because I was the nice guy. I grew up trying to be perfect, trying to be the best I can to prove myself, throw myself under the bus, being the savior. I get all that. Still have remnants of that showing up. Still stuff that like, whoa, oh, why did I do that? Okay, I'm going to pull that back and work through it. But one of the biggest things was not to, like you said, vomit. Processing in real time with the feminine, unless they are really trained in it and you have really, really great credibility, even still, is something I would not do. So that does not mean just sharing your emotions. There's different. That's literally like, it's so raw. It's coming up inside of you. It's wherever it is in your body. And the feminine, you don't even have to say anything. They feel it. You don't even have to say it. Words actually end up making it probably worse. So if you're splattering, if you're over-explaining, if you're talking and just letting it come out, I'm guilty of this as well. I'm saying this for myself as well. It's a reminder of like, don't do that. Be able to be in, and I think of like the big redwoods in California, but that there's a big redwood out there that's cut. It's like a stump, but it's just huge. It's just in the ground. There's nothing. No storm is going to move this thing, right? It is just rank. We want to feel like we are the red tree, like stump in the ground. When we're feeling the emotions, it's okay to contain them. We can feel them. It doesn't mean push them down. It means hold your own storm. Her weather system is her weather system. Your weather system is yours. Keep them separate. You don't need to share all of that. So when you're feeling the emotions, instead of bleh, it's, you know what? I need to take some moments. I need to pull myself away. I need to pause this conversation. I need to come back a later time. I need some time. It's okay to say that. It's okay to admit, you know what? I'm feeling some stuff. I got some stuff coming up. I really want to go process this. That's totally great. It's being able to make sure you're resourced as well. When I say resourced, I mean like if you're doing this late at night, if you're having conversations when you're unfed, unfucked, and
or intoxicated,
or yeah, you're hungry, you haven't had sex, and you haven't had sleep. Like these things, like you got to be resourced for these kind of relationships, or these kind of conversations, or else you're just gonna spew and mess up, and like it's gonna make things worse. So we want to make sure we're resourced. We also don't want to spew everything and process live. We want to be able to go back and do breath work, do meditation, journal, and sit with these emotions. What I mean by process is feel them, be with them, even work with. I'm a hypnotherapist. I help people do this stuff. You want to be able to sit with this stuff because all these emotions that are coming up are these things that have been pushed down, and all these messages, they're data points. Emotions are not who you are. They're just these data points that are coming up to us, the positive ones and the negative ones. So when they're coming up in such a visceral way, it's hitting a chord, a wound that's opened up. And all of a sudden these data points is like, listen. And you can't do it all at once.
Yeah. See, for me, and I know I'm not alone in this. When I was married, I stuffed my feelings, and would numb them out. So there would be frustration and it would get pinned up. So the emotion would get pinned up. I wouldn't speak it in the moment. Right. And for me back then, it was food. So I would eat the emotions or whatever just to numb it out. But then it was still building. And then what would happen is I'd get to a breaking point and then I'd lose my shit and then I'd just vomit. And I'm bringing up stuff from weeks ago. And she's like, what are you talking, like, what? What? And it's interesting too, like, and that was kind of my default. And this goes back to how I was raised. My father, I never saw my parents argue. Never saw, they always went to a back room. Never saw it. So, all of a sudden I have conflict in my marriage, like arguments, and I feel like something's wrong from the very beginning.
Sure.
Healthy conflict was never modeled for me growing up.
Yeah.
Ever.
Not many of us. Huh.
And, my dad grew up in an alcoholic home where he was the go-between. So mom and dad came between him. So anytime anyone argument with any of us, he would have his own PTSD.
Yeah.
And couldn't handle it. So conversations were never able to be finalized. Feelings were never able to be shared. Like, it was never safe. I grew up with that. So it never felt safe to share, and the vomiting thing to me, right? I think a lot of men too, I'm not alone in this. We stuff it, we bury it, but then we get to this breaking point, and it's really, going back to the very beginning to integrity, right? We've been out of alignment because we haven't spoken our truth. And so really the vomiting, really, if we're being honest, is actually a reflection of us not honoring our word.
100%.
And we're just taking it all out on the other person.
Yep. Not fair at all. That's that suppression. The suppression builds up over time. And if we're not doing breath work or things like that to release it somatically, you don't have to do talk therapy, although some people have to do it. That's okay. But it builds up pressure. And so we don't, putting that on our woman or anybody else in our life, that's not fair. It's our responsibility. It's not your fault what happened to you, early child, whatever, but it is our responsibility to process that.
100%.
That's the thing, guys. Yeah, it sucks. There's a lot of stuff that sucks out there you can't control, especially when you're a child. Okay, yeah, some shit happens. We've all had experiences that really suck, some worse than others. And we're still floating around on a rock in the middle of a beautiful universe. We chose to be here. It doesn't have to be all that bad. We can sit in it. It usually is worse than it feels worse on the front end, but once you're sitting with it and I do 77 seconds, sitting with an emotion for 77 seconds. Sometimes it doesn't take that long. Sometimes it does. That's sometimes all it needs to do is be felt and then receive those messages. It really does take that time. And it, especially the longer you've shoved it down, the harder it's going to come out. So that's why we do monthly breath work with the men. Every single month we're doing an intense breath work that is really, really important because we got to let that loose. And you can imagine it on the feminine side, they're like, what the actual fuck is going on here? Yeah, I want him to be emotional. Go back to your other point to get the other side of this. Yeah, I want my man to be vulnerable, but not to vomit all his stuff, unprocessed stuff on me. How is the feminine supposed to feel safe with us if we aren't able to regulate ourselves? They feel our nervous system's coming a mile away. They know what is going on with us generally. Now, some women are more tapped in than others, but man, they are really, really intuitive creatures. We cannot hide this stuff, especially when it's not just about what we're saying and talking. It's about the feeling and the stuff that's underneath. It's the stuff that's unsaid that they can pick up on.
No, I love that. So much comes to mind. You facilitate. This is a big part of your practice with the men you work with, and again, doing a once a month or every couple month, full blown breathwork session. It is so therapeutic. It is so powerful. I've had breathwork sessions where I'm literally bawling my eyes out, screaming. Especially in a men's group, you've done a lot more than I have. And it sometimes can feel like, someone's getting murdered in the room. The emotions, men that have not shared their emotions in 30 or 40 years, it's all coming out.
Yeah.
Because the body keeps the score. It holds on to it. And what I found for me too is that when I get triggered, whatever, it's like I recognize it in me, like something's off. I need the way I reset it. I reset alone. And essentially, my last relationship, the reset, I needed space, and that was hard for her. She wanted to process and work through things. I'm like, this is how I process things. I will share with you, and also it's my responsibility to get myself regulated, so then I can come back in full presence. Otherwise, it does. That's just the way I do things. And again, as you were on this topic, because I know this affects a lot of relationships, a lot of couples, and a man wants to be able to share. And, what's even coming to mind too is share where you're at, but let me go work through this. And they can be there to support, to motivate, to do whatever. But at the end of the day, I believe we as men, it's our responsibility to work through whatever we need to release whatever we need to find the whatever's holding us back. And what I found too, many times for a man too, it's like you get, again, I'm a big fan. I believe you are too, as you're saying, it's like, what's the root of this? Like, what's underneath this? Like, what,
Yeah.
And if you're stuck in a dead end job, or you're not pursuing your passion or your goal or the fear, whatever, like there's something underneath it that's actually blocking that. And let's go there. Let's just call it what it is.
It's the shortcut. If you want to get to the bottom of stuff, you got to get to the root cause.
Yep.
It's just how it works. And when we get to the root cause, although that can be really scary for people, right? It's about sitting in their stuff. It's about feeling the things that and generally this is stuff between 0 and 10. It's inner child stuff, generally. There's different parts that have created all this, but there's something that, and this doesn't have the thing is, a lot of people think it's got to be bad trauma or horrible trauma or, sexual rape or accidents or things like that. No, it can be the most subtle thing. The most subtle thing.
I mean, it could be you were 5 years old, your mom didn't pick you up from kindergarten, and you sat on the curb for 2 hours, and you have there is something deep rooted from that one experience. You have abandonment issues.
Yep. And then other experiences in life come and tack onto that. It stacks. And so it just further exemplifies and installs that belief pattern. And then it is a full-blown lens of which you see the world. Now, this is all can be redone. Everything can be recoded. That's what's beautiful.
Yeah,
I want, like as much as the despairs we're talking about, this roughness, the beautiful news is the sunshine and the rainbow, the unicorn situation is everything can be recoded. Everything in our unconscious mind, everything we are. Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it all the time. And other experts. I've been doing this for a long time. I've done thousands of sessions. Anything and everything, all of our past, like time, the present moment, there's only now. Time is not real. Time's a tool for our minds to be able to exist in this universe, in this creation. But we can go backwards in time and recode and rewire and re-experience those events that we had because those emotions get imprinted in our body. So our body, this whole thing is our unconscious mind. That's why we have chronic pains, things that come up. It's our body telling us, hey, you got to look at this. There are certain parts of the body, different sides will tell you, oh, this thing over here on your neck, it's on your masculine side. It's about talking to your mom about so-and-so. Like it can be linked to specific experiences that we've tracked since the 70s.
And a lot of people just dismiss that as woo-woo. It's real.
It's real. There's science behind it. It's literally science-backed.
Science backs it.
Yeah. And I do want to go back to breath work. Like there's lots of different types of breath work and it's phenomenal. What I do is like headphones, always have headphones on because everybody can get their own bubble, but still be in a collective if we're doing a group one. And there's binaural beats. There's like a lot of different ways. My voice, there's soundscapes. There's these beautiful, it's like a sound journey. And you can hit DMT, you can hit levels of psychedelic states without any psychedelics, just from breath. It's beautiful. But the main thing is about somatic release, meaning you don't have to go to breath work and talk about your stuff. You just breathe into your belly. It's in through the mouth. It's taking in oxygen so fast, your belly, chest, and then letting the exhale just fade away. That is really important because we're over oxygenating the body. And I like to put it this way, it's our ability to shake off the traumas or the stuff that's going on. So if you ever watch, what's it called? Like National Geographic or, on Apple, they have all those things. If you ever see with like a gazelle, for example, like being chased by a cheetah or something, and those cheetahs come into the group and like you see one like, oh my God, that one's going to get hit. It's going to get it. It gets so close, maybe even gets scratched, but it gets away. And maybe the cheetah caught something else. That thing just almost died. It has trauma. It is in a trauma response. But what you notice is after the danger goes away, within just a few minutes, it literally shakes off the trauma. They don't have a prefrontal cortex like we do. So they're able to literally shake off their trauma and be like, okay, back to normal. We don't have that ability naturally, but we have breath work. Breath work is our shake off. A lot of people will go to drugs and other things like psychedelics, like journeys and all that. And that can be that. But like breath work is the most safest therapy out there by science and medical researching all. That is our shake off. That is our ability to like let that stuff go without having to talk about it. Yeah, you can process it later and it'll bring up stuff for you. That's why we cry. That's why we release. That's why we scream. That's why we do breath holds. But that is our way of, as the gazelles, to get that stuff out of our body.
Yeah, the most powerful somatic experiences, if you will, in many ways, some of the most spiritual the DMT hit, whatever you want, you like, have been in breath work. The first time I did ayahuasca, I went down to Rhythmia. And that it's 4 weeks of ayahuasca breath work, first night's breath work, 4 nights of ayahuasca. And then the 6th night is breath work, and just totally cracked open at my first experience and dancing with this. And I'm like, but my breath work session the last night was the most insane, crazy self-love experience I've ever felt in my entire life. I mean, I couldn't even move when I was done. Literally. Oh, yeah. Like, I believe you. They were doing like intention, they were integration setting, whatever. Everyone's like, I couldn't even get up. It was wild. And I've had multiple sessions. I mean, I'm a huge advocate for it. And I love when people go for the first time and they don't know what they're getting themselves into. Like, if they actually really like put the effort in and do it, it's wild to see what gets released.
Oh, it is wild. And some of the people who have a first time experience, they've reported like hitting the psychedelic states right away. Even if they don't think they're doing it right, they've had angels visit them. They've like, God talked to me. They had Jesus Christ came. My dead grandmother came and visited me. They're like, what? Alien. They're like, what did we just do? And we're like, we just taught your body to do exactly what it knows how to do. Not taught. I'm sorry. The body remembers how to do this. The body is intelligent. It is a part of our intelligence, and it's just doing what the body's meant to do. It's just we're not taught this.
This memory's coming. I was in a breathwork session with some men last year, and a buddy of mine saw himself as an eagle. Yeah. Just, I'm a fucking eagle, right? Next day, he's posting on his story on Instagram. He's getting an eagle tattoo on his leg. I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I loved it. Like,
I have a client. I don't know if we're talking about the same guy, but it was an owl.
Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, different guy. Same. He tattooed the owl on his leg. He had such an incredible visceral thing. And what was cool is like, because when we clear away this stuff, I like to look at it. We're all these diamonds in the rough. And when you find a diamond out in nature, you don't just see the diamond. It's caked. It's got stuff all around it. We've got to chip away at that and chisel and remove these layers as human beings. The beautiful thing about breathwork is it removes these layers. And as you do that, the distortion, the noise falls away, and you start to see and start to get clarity. And you start to feel more like yourself. And that stuff just literally falls away. And so you start to pick up patterns that are kind of right in front of you. Well, in the breathwork, this client, I won't say his name, but he had this visceral owl that came to him. And he goes, wait a minute. Every morning that I drive to the gym at 5 a.m., it's dark outside. Every single morning for like the last 5 days, there's been an owl flying by and landing on the fence. Every morning at the same time, he sees the same owl. It was for a certain like week or whatever. And he looked up. I was like, okay, I want you to look into owls. What kind of owl? It's like a barn owl. Look that up. Like, look at the meaning of that. Go into it and meditate with this. And there's a whole lot of stuff he connected with. It's like, it was so visceral, like a connection for him and what he was going through in his divorce and all this stuff. He tattooed a big one on his leg because it was like, this is a part of him. The fact that it all came together at that time, and he had his first breathwork session ever, and it showed him these parts of himself that he had just not been able to see. So we're constantly getting these messages from ourselves. As we chip away in the distortion and the noise, we start to actually learn how to trust ourselves.
Yep.
How to get back to trusting the self and listening to ourselves, not, again, the external validation, but the internal validation. We have everything inside of us that we need. We don't need to go to our friends to talk about everything. We don't need to go to coaches. Those things help. We can do that stuff. But we also, at the end of the day, got to remember, hey, it's me. It's my decision. I got this. I got you. I'm good. I'm filled up. I love myself. I am solid.
Yeah. And I always say the answers are inside of us, everything, and yes, there's a place for a coach and a mentor and doing all these things. And, when I left organized religion 10 years ago, I went down every rabbit hole you could think of, just exploring, what's this? Oh, I don't know. Maybe this is something, right? It didn't matter who it was. Like, I'm talking to psychics, mediums, plant medicine, all the different things. Right. And but it's been this journey of like coming back home. Yeah. Coming back home. And not that I still don't seek help. I have mentors, I have coaches. Like, I will always do that. I truly believe in that. And yet it's learning to really trust ourselves, that intuition. Like, it's real. And then and I believe what I have found for me is the more integrous I am, the connection to source, the connection to God, the connection to the universe is rooted in truth and integrity. And the more I am a man of my word, the stronger the connection gets. The more I take care of my vessel, the more I've played around with this so much that it'll affect the connection, if you will, in meditation, my spiritual practice. What I eat will affect it. You know, alcohol, of course, numbs it. But like, there's certain things that I've just learned, like the cleaner I live. I always joke, this is the thing the Mormons got right with the word of wisdom stuff. But, but nevertheless, like the truth is like, is the more and more, but the root of it's integrity for me.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It really is.
It is a conviction of mine.
Beautiful. Yeah. It should be for all of us. It is really, it's something that I'm keep leaning more and more into. And the more that I test the same stuff with men, I keep getting the same results. It's the same thing. It's like these certain things you do when you're getting really, really honest and truthful with yourself. It starts to it's like a level up in video games. It's like level up. Okay. Level up. Oh, you went out drinking all weekend. Okay. Level down. It's like, there's certain things we can do, but when we're being consistent with those things, that's when we start to elevate. And that's why the feminine fasts do really well, because like, it's not just about the feminine fast and not being romantic with them and keeping your sexual energy in so it doesn't go leaky and all that. It's about what else is showing up for you that it's blatantly saying, oh, okay, I need to address these things.
So for you personally, coming back, like the refinement, right? Where was I going with this? The integrity piece of it. Oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. We're gonna have to cut this out, or maybe not. We'll just keep flowing. No, this is what I was gonna say. So what's interesting to me is like the negative self-talk that used to be there, where I used to beat myself up all the time, literally is gone. It's dead.
Yeah.
And what I found is like, you know, the ability to tell the truth, right? To look in the mirror and just own this, like, oh shit, that's what I did. That's not who I am. I don't know if this was the thing for you. That was a huge thing for me. If I did something, it wasn't what I did, it's who I was. And as I've worked,
shame versus guilt.
Tons of shame. And what's interesting is I've been able to heal that. Like, I don't really carry a lot of shame. I mean, maybe little things here, but like, it's pretty dead, that, especially the negative self-talk. But what I found is once a man, at least for me, once I disconnected from that, my ability to move through things, or coming back to this connection, if you will, with myself, exponentially has just increased. But what the catalyst for me to get to that level was detaching my worth to whatever I did or didn't do.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I think for a lot of men to like, hey, just tell the truth. Like, it's hard because it's like everybody lie. I mean, everybody does whatever. It doesn't mean anything. It just means like there's levels to the game, but it's like, that's just what you did. That's not who you are. And maybe, especially a man coming out of divorce, where I was, or maybe where you were, and you come through divorce, like, oh my God, like there's so much inner critic, like our worth's tied to all these things. But when you can disconnect the two of those, it's so much easier to tell the truth, to be integral, right? But to me, there's like this, you got to go from like, my worth's not attached to whatever I did or didn't do,
right?
Versus it's just something I did.
Yep. Yeah. That's a really good delineation. And I want to go back to like a lot of people don't understand the difference between guilt and shame, right? Like guilt is because a lot of guys are feeling guilty and they can't get out of that. So it is hard to do the truth. I know some of these guys be like, I don't even know where to start. But guilt is I did a bad thing. I feel guilty because I did that bad thing. Shame is I'm a bad person because I did that thing. That's a very different. Yeah, shame is low frequency.
I had a guy on my podcast who does a lot of things around emotions, and he said, I'm going to steal from him, but it's like, you know, guilt's a healthy emotion. Yep. Shame is not.
Exactly.
Right? Guilt brings you back into alignment.
Yes. Yeah. Shame can still teach us. It's important
for
because
sure.
It's a data point, but it's like, yeah, it's a very, very negative, very, very low. I think on Dr. David Hawkins' consciousness scale, shame's at the bottom. Lowest frequency, red. So his consciousness scale goes from shame all the way up to love and joy and all the things in between. The book Power versus Force, amazing book, but like it's so low. So if we're carrying shame, it is one of the heaviest things to carry. And that is what we really want to go and look at. Like, okay, if you're carrying shame for this kind of stuff, maybe for the divorce, for whatever happened, sometimes we can't even see where we're lying to ourselves, and it's so automatic.
Yep.
So we got to look at the other question is like, where are you lying to yourself? Where are you, a lot of the different questions I have is just like having men just start to vent and asking them questions so they can start getting angry. If there's anger and rage, generally a lot of nice guys, you think they're really nice, they don't think they have rage. Most of them have rage. Rage is that silent killer. It's the one that's underneath there. Rage is apparent, and women too. I have a lot of women clients that so sweet, so nice and all that. And like the sweetest ones end up having some of the deepest rage. And when they get it out and they scream, you're like, wow, I saw it coming, but I also like did not expect that much. And it's amazing.
So Aaron, dude, you and I could talk for hours. Like, where can men find you? Where can, you work with a lot of men that, we actually kind of in the same space, right? One of the things that Aaron does that I don't currently do is like Aaron does a lot in a group setting. He's building a community. In fact, I'm going to be joining him here in a couple of weeks at one of his breathwork sessions. Maybe when we post this, we'll maybe put a link on there to where people can get access to it and come join us. But tell us a little bit more about kind of your group setting and the experiences that you cultivate for men and how they might, we'll put in the show notes where to find you, but like just a little bit more about just your overall practice.
Yeah. So Yager Transformation Group is my company. And so the main thing I've been doing here is one-on-one hypnotherapy, breath work, inner child work, parts integration, regression. Like I've been a hypnotherapist since I was 18. I'm 45 right now at this podcast. So I've done thousands and thousands of sessions and I love what I do. So I've done one-on-one. I can do one-to-many in that way. And then combining the breath work with all of that, I have a unique modality about going about things. And I'm NLP master practitioner. So I've got a lot of different experiences that I pull from to help people. And going from that one-on-one container to one-to-many, for the men, it's called Noble Kings Collective. I really believe that there's not noble like, oh, I'm better than nobility. It's noble. It's honor. It's really stepping into not just being a king, because there's lots of different types of kings, but being a noble king. And having this collective is like, this is not about me. This is about how we collect together, how we come together, and how we use different modalities and challenges and practices to not just talk about stuff, but like, let's go do the work together. And when I say do the work, I mean not just values reset and have the conversations and do some of the tactics. I mean going in and doing the deep breath work together and doing the processing of that and going into the unconscious world, doing hypnotherapy, doing this kind of work that allows us to get to the root cause. Because if we don't get to the root cause, we can go around and do wonderful talks and a lot of circles and drum circles and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's all wonderful. But in this group, we're there to do the work. We're there to live through the pillars. We're there to go from chaos to king. And there are a lot of men in chaos. And you can be super wealthy and be in crazy amounts of chaos. Because I work with a lot of high performers and make a lot of money, but then the other parts of their life are complete disaster. So money's not the thing either. You can also have guys that don't have a lot of money and they have other great things going on for them. But it's about finding that balance. How do we live as a whole noble king with all these areas like, filled up. So that's what we do. And you can do it noblekingscollective.com. That'll be the homepage. And I've got like a really cool program to get people through like a kind of a sprint to reset their system, to get them to, one thing is like, owning your morning, putting your phone on not just do not disturb, but like airplane mode, creating before you consume, connecting with yourself, having non-negotiables that you do in the morning to get yourself up and ready, not jumping right into work, not jumping right into Instagram or social media, but giving yourself the time for 30 minutes to 2 hours every single morning to do the things that set you up to be in integrity with yourself. And then we talk about going through the integrity list and all that. So that's the one main thing that I'm doing for men. And then, I'm on Instagram as well at Aaron James Yager, and we put up great content there. You and I are going to do some more there. And that's just a great place to see what I do, how I do it. And then one other cool thing I want to mention is like I take people to Norway, and I go do a Viking event called the Viking Initiation. Now, I haven't done a men's only one yet, but it's always been men and women. And we go learn from ancient wisdom because they had a lot of stuff figured out with masculine and feminine energy back then. I believe there's a lot of these old ancient secrets and wisdoms that we can pull from, but still have a lot of fun and do the breath work and do the meditation. And it's like transformation doesn't have to be so damn heavy all the time. We can wrap it in play. We can wrap it in fun. We can go do really great things. And dance, breath work, and then dancing is one of my favorite things to do. We have an event that we do in Utah called Dance and Breath and Dance, and it's like rewire and rave. It's like, let's rewire ourselves, get it all stirred up, and then go dance it off because that's somatic as well. So let's the part of the conversation is like, guys, it doesn't have to be so hard, and we just find the right people to get around and be willing to be vulnerable, as we talked about. The tools exist. All the resources exist. We live in a resource-rich area. We just got to have the courage to go in.
Yeah, I love
into
that.
the fire.
Into the fire. Freedom is in the fire. Well, brother, I appreciate you. This has been awesome, and I'm sure we will do this again.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me. I had
Thanks,
so much
Aaron.
fun.
And thank you for everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time on the Burn Up Podcast.